Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 158 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. Damon, you're ruining my little opening here by breathing into the microphone.
Yeah, I like to do that.
What are you doing?
I'm still like sickly recovering, so you get what you get.
All right, that's fair. You got your new headphones, and you can actually hear us now. So, right?
I like these headphones a lot, Tom. They are definitely nice.
Good. I'm glad.
I like them. And see, now you made me lose my train of thought, though. I was.
What were we going to say?
Something. I don't remember now. Oh well.
Well.
No, I know what I was going to say. I said, is episode like 175 important? Like,
I don't know. Is that a milestone?
I don't know. That's what I was kind of thinking about.
Well, I mean, I would think it's more like, because we started in April, right? So is this our fourth or fifth year?
No, this will be fifth year. This will be fifth year. Crazy enough, right?
And I mean, and we have the meetup already, which, it's kind of appropriate that we'll be doing it in May.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like a de facto 5-year anniversary party in a weird way, right? I didn't even think about it that way, but it kind of, I mean, it's a little bit after 5 years, but yeah.
Yeah, but it should. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say episode 200 is going to be around Christmas, huh?
Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's what?
Something like that.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is that the wait list, I feel like, should have been numbered. That's just me, though.
Do you want me to? I can start numbering them if you want. I mean, we can start.
No. The problem is that it would have already impacted the episode numbers, though.
Yeah, it throws off the historical count, right?
Yeah, I feel like really episode 200 should be sooner. But how many wait lists have we done? Not that many.
Like 5, maybe. I think.
Okay.
You remember the whole thing started as when we were doing shows every 2 weeks, we were trying to do an in-betweener, like for the weeks in between. Yeah. And then that was how it started. And then it turned into like whenever we weren't available, we were going to do one. So, yeah. Anyway. So we were just talking about Damon and I are dealing with some weather here, but anybody in the South, I think, is dealing with it too, right? I mean, I think it's Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. It's all over the place.
I'm just, again, knock on wood, I'm glad we still have electricity.
Yeah, I've been worried about that too.
Yeah, I had to look up on how to start my fireplace, my gas fireplace with batteries, should it have come down to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be
awesome.
Well, at least you'll have that. Yeah, at least you'll have that if you need it.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit should that happen.
And
but I think it was like, I think the fact that I charged up all my chargers and got everything prepared, left some water in the tub just in case we need to flush twice, because I did all of that, the power won't go out. So that's the way it always works. So you have to do all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, Trevor's up there laughing at us at, for inch of snow.
I mean, listen, here's the thing though, Trevor, like if we both didn't live in New Jersey before, then okay. But like, we know what snow is like. Like, look, one of our craziest snows in New Jersey, I mean, is still like 3 feet. Like, it's not like we don't know what snow is. We still know what snow is.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I get it that, the area you live in, it's a very unusual thing. So, the like infrastructure is not prepared for it. People, it's not like you go to Home Depot and they have all the like winter stuff. Like here, it's like you can buy buckets of salt and all that stuff without having to think twice about it. And no, sorry, I just find it's just amusing as all, because you're talking about, we got a bit of ice, and I'm thinking to myself, like, before Christmas, I actually walking up to my mailbox, I fell and like I cracked my hand on the ice, but that's just like a normal thing at this point. Like, it happened and I just kind of got up and kept going. But like, you don't think about how, I guess, like for most people that's not a normal thing, but to me it's like, every winter it's just like this.
And again, like, we've been through a lot of winters in New Jersey where it was pretty bad as well, like in terms of that ice and craziness. It's actually one of the reasons we left New Jersey, is my wife is not about that ice situation, so that's why we ended up leaving.
Well, I always, I was talking to my wife about this because, if you drive up the turnpike in New Jersey, you drive by these gigantic silos filled with salt, right?
Salt.
Like, huge things of salt. And because it was like down here in North Carolina, they just they put this like salt brine on the road. We don't even have like salt to like put down on the roads. And it's like, we don't have those giant silos filled with salt, like this is not a thing we have here. So,
so that they just hope that it'll melt and they don't care about whether or not you actually.
And it will, because look, it's going to be 45 at 4:00 today.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be fine come the end of the day. It's just, you have half a day of nonsense. So
like the last time we had significant snow, I think we got like 1 or 2 inches, and it was on the ground for like maybe 3 hours. Then it was melted by the afternoon. So
we had that last year a little bit.
Yeah.
At least, I believe it was last year. I mean, we've had a snow down here where we went sleighing for 2 days, but that was probably about 5 years ago, maybe 6 at this point.
Yeah, I saw somebody post on one of my local Facebook groups looking for a sled, and it's like, are you new here?
Yeah. Dude, by 4:00, it's gone. Sorry.
God, yeah. But anyway.
Just to, I get you and your wife's point, Damon, about, wanting to move somewhere without the snow. I wish I could do the same, I would have to leave Canada is the problem. And like moving internationally is such a, like, it's not worth it. So
I have a friend that actually was in outside of Quebec and now lives in Chicago. So
yeah, I know it happens all the time. It's just, but yeah, I would have to, find a job,
Yeah, I think that was his big thing, is he had a PhD in sociology and marketing, and there was just more opportunity here. He works in the marketing entertainment industry.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Music.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well,
anyway, yeah. But I guess enough about snow and stuff. Sorry you guys are having to deal with it, but
we hope everybody out there stays safe that's dealing with snow, because I think a lot of the United States is dealing with snow. And Trevor, of course, you're pretty much always dealing with snow for most of the year, right?
But so, funny enough, I think have I mentioned Chinooks to you guys before?
Yeah, I think you have. Yeah.
So this last week we've actually been in the middle of a Chinook, and it's actually been warm enough that snow has been starting to melt. But the funny thing is because we have so much snow, it's not that it just melts and goes away. It becomes very loose. So like driving and just walking through it, it's kind of like walking in a swamp almost.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's not that we actually get a break from it. It just makes it worse, and then it'll freeze again, and then it's all uneven and everything. So,
jeez, yeah,
it'll be fine.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, the show was thought to be short, but we're very talkative today for some reason, right? As we always think we don't have a lot of listener questions though, but that's what we're going to kick into next. Really, without Dan, we would have none.
This isn't even a question. It's more of just a statement.
But hold on. Just before, we have to let Francisco know that we took his and stuck it in our new file for waitlist because it was so good. It wasn't a disrespectful pull of the question. It's just, man, I didn't want to. I have to do Figment justice.
Yeah, not Dan. Francisco asked about a Figment movie. What a Figment movie would look like, right? And what kind of like, yeah. Good. Yeah,
so that's definitely something we want to explore deeper. So the next time we do a waitlist episode, we'll look at talking through that one.
That would be fun, actually.
We just got to remember that we made a list of topics.
I think this time we'll remember.
We'll remember.
Yeah. So Dan H gives us movie talk. Pixar again gets snubbed with Seeing Red being a Disney Plus streaming only release, and Marvel accounted for more than 30% of the 2021 box office sales with their 4 releases. Okay, the wording on this is a little hurtful, but all right, that's fine.
So is this saying that Pixar got Pixar got the short end, and then but then I don't get the part about Marvel.
I think it's just like, hey, so Marvel accounted for this much of their money with their 4 releases as a secondary statement. So let's look at each one of them, right?
Okay.
Let's look at the Marvel one first. Okay, so Marvel accounted for more than it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with box office sales, because I'm going to tell you something. Boba Fett is fire at the end of the day, right? So, it really
not even.
I haven't watched it yet. I really got to watch it.
No. What I'm saying is that since we're talking about box office, we're leaning towards Marvel because the good stuff of Star Wars is not box office anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So, Boba Fett, which could have been, wow, that would have been interesting, a box office movie, but it's doing very well on Disney Plus. What else is really going out there in the box office? I mean, obviously Marvel's going to account for a lot of it because what else is actually getting released out there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of noise around the Pixar movies going to Disney Plus, but I also think that there's just not a market for kids movies right now in the theaters. You know what I mean? Like kids are not really going to the theaters like they were. And Marvel movies, get kids and they get adults. But like, if you look at just the market in general, like there's just not a lot of kids movies in the theaters right now because of, COVID ongoing. And
I would agree. I was coming around a very long way to get to that. Okay. But I think it was going to take me longer than what Tom just said. But yes. And look, here's the thing. I mean, with Pixar getting a Disney Plus streaming release, like, why is that bad? Like, it's being said like it's bad. Like, maybe from a money standpoint of the actors, actresses, but how many of them really have anything in their contracts about percentages these days? And I'm sure after that whole debacle, I'm sure none of them do. Yeah. So what does it really matter? I mean, I'm happy about this. I mean, as a consumer, I'm happy because I'm not trying to go to the movies, everybody, right? Like, I had a theater built in my house now. I had one in my old house because I don't like going to the theater. So I'm good. I'm happy about this.
Yeah, I think that you're right. The thing is that there is a shift in mentality happening around streaming services versus box office. And it was always seen as, I guess the impression is something coming to Disney Plus is the same as like the old direct to VHS movies that come out in the 90s,
but
right?
It's like not.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. Like everyone treats it like, oh, these are the, the cheap shows that, you're just desperate to rent something on a Friday night at Blockbuster, right?
And Trevor, I would say is that, I mean, don't you think that The Mandalorian and Grogu was at least equal to Marvel's releases during the year that we saw The Mandalorian? Like in terms of buzz and hype?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The thing is that, Disney Plus is as much of a publicity and marketing tool as them releasing stuff in the box office, because you still see people talking about they've still done the premium releases on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah,
I know that's a bit of another topic, but it still shows that, I don't think people realize exactly how big Disney Plus really is.
Well, and yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, going into Costco and buying, the hot dog there, right? Like, I feel like a lot of this is just buzz. Look, at the end of the day, I saw more memes about Grogu than I did about Marvel stuff that year, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it just, there is something to be said about, Disney Plus being this giant of entertainment. And it is, like I said, Boba Fett, Mandalorian. I mean, I love a lot of shows on Disney Plus. And when it comes down to it, I would say that probably movies and series from Disney Plus is starting to supersede what I watch maybe on Netflix. Look, was there anything bigger than Squid Games? No. I mean, it was great. And
not last year. No.
Nope. And I'll tell you the truth. And I was excited that it was one of those shows that I was like, I watched the first day with like no hype at that point yet. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's a lot that I watch on Disney Plus. I mean, a lot of series. Like, I love Big Shot. Like, I love The Mighty Ducks. Like, there's a lot going on at Disney Plus that I think that it's bigger, like you said, Trevor, than people kind of give it credit for at this point.
So I'll use actually Encanto as a good example of that.
Oh, that's where I was going to go. Good example. Yep.
Yeah, because Encanto came out in theaters. And everyone, there was that buzz around it, but nobody really talked about it. Like, it came out.
Nobody talked about it,
and it was kind of like, I think this is what happens. A lot of people went, oh, okay, I'm not going to the theater right now. Whatever. I'll wait for it to come out. And then when it hit Disney Plus, it was like, oh my gosh, like
that's all we heard about.
Yeah, there was so much. Like, everyone was talking about the songs. They were talking about how good it was, and it's like,
well, I wasn't talking about how good it was.
I know, but everyone has their opinions, and that's fair. But the hype like went through the roof when it hit Disney Plus. So you know, everyone talking about how like, oh well, you know, Pixar, they're only coming out on Disney Plus. You know, I get the feeling, you know, Disney can still pay people if shows come out on Disney Plus. Like,
and that's the big thing. I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's funny. Everyone's complaining about, they feel sometimes, that's not everybody, but a fair amount of people complain about Disney being greedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you're mad that you're saying Pixar's getting snubbed. Like, you can't have it both ways, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if they're going to release Seeing Red and everyone's happy about it, and all the actors and actresses and voice work people and everyone else is getting paid, and no one has a real percentage of the movie sales besides Disney. I guess the only thing that you could possibly say is that, does it hurt the theaters? Yeah, maybe it does a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I think theaters are a dying industry right now with the pandemic regardless.
Yeah, there's a bigger problem there than just Disney deciding to use their own platform.
Absolutely.
Because they're not the only ones doing it. You know, Warner's doing it, you know.
It's why we got HBO Plus, though, right? So, I mean,
Paramount Plus, it's been releasing.
I don't have Paramount Plus yet, but I'm like, I'm going to have to for Fresh Prince. Like, there's just no way I don't get it for Fresh Prince. But yeah, I feel like this is not necessarily a big deal, and I'm happy. And now, talking about Seeing Red, I go back and forth about how I feel about this. But I finally finished Raya. I had only watched half of it for some reason. And then we kind of, because you know what, the boys had no interest. The older boys, they were like, whatever. And then we kind of stopped watching it. And I went back and watched that, and I really enjoyed that.
See, that's funny, because I actually didn't like it as much as I liked Encanto.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
It's preferences, you know.
Yeah. And I'm kind of on the fence about this in terms of movie release, but
you know,
there's not a lot coming out next year. I don't know if we're finally hitting, right? Because there obviously was this gap where people didn't work, right, when COVID first started. And I'm wondering if that's where we're right now, 2 years later, that's what we're seeing the effects of.
Well, and, you know, to your point, to everybody's point, just to go back to what you were saying before, I didn't see anything on Facebook or social media about Encanto until it came out on Disney Plus, right? Like, then all of a sudden we're inundated with Encanto memes and, you know, posts and like, so yeah. But I think what this comes down to, I don't know. Have you guys ever watched the Pixar Story, the documentary about like how Pixar started? And
no, that's nerd stuff. I don't watch it.
Okay. Well, it's really good. But anyway, you know, there's a clip in that I come back to that I think of where they have the whole company together, like in the atrium of their building, and they're reading off after the first weekend of one of the movies coming out, they're reading off what the box office totals are, and everyone's like celebrating and, you know, congratulating each other, and they're celebrating. So I almost feel like it's a company thing where the box office totals became a measure of how good something they were doing was. You know what I mean?
Sure, but did you hear what you just said, though? You said they all came together, which they're not anymore.
Which they're not. Yeah.
So as a team building, I totally get that. But that's just not the way the world is now. So
I also don't put a lot of stock in these articles about people like being like, maybe like there's one animator that's like salty about it that like told a reporter about it, right? Like, it's the whole company mad about it.
As a consumer, I'm happy, and
me too.
Everyone that's talking about it is consumers. So why are you not happy?
And you know, the interesting thing is, so like, just talking back about the whole box office thing, I can see that conversation turning to, you know, the measure is no longer how well something does in the box office, but kind of like Squid Game was, you know, are you number one on the platform, right? Like, you know, that's as much of a valid comparison, you know, being the most popular show on Disney Plus.
Where's the money on being the most like from Squid Game, right? Like, where did that money come from? And I think that what we tend to forget in terms of a movie like, you know, Squid Games versus a Pixar movie is that there's this huge conglomerate of money licensing, right? Like, they always say that, you know, Cars made more money with its toys than it ever did in the box office, like not even close. Yeah. I think that you have to think about that, right? I always think about the toy aspect of it and the licensing aspect of it. So,
But then again, the whole being mad about it not coming to theaters that's inconsequential. Because if they're if they're still getting the exposure that they need through another platform.
That's kind of what I was saying is that, there's way more money to be made in that. So why are you mad about box office numbers?
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, I read an article about this just a couple of days ago that Disney Plus is only a couple of years in at this point and has become not Netflix, but
they're rivaling Netflix.
Yeah, but you pretty much have to, it's become to a point where you kind of have to have a Disney Plus subscription, right? I mean, it's become up there with Netflix in that it's a must subscribe to kind of thing, Well, and that's why they have 120 million or whatever they have. So
yeah, because I mean, for me, there's things like where you would go to, let's say, Netflix for. Is Seinfeld on Netflix now? I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah. So, I would like to go watch the old episodes of Recess, right? And they exist on Disney Plus. So their back catalog for at least people that are into that stuff is huge as well. Yeah. So
they came in with the deepest catalog, I think, right? Because so many of these other streamers that are starting up came in with a catalog, but then they're having to acquire, licenses and stuff. I mean, look at Apple TV Plus, right? They started with almost nothing, and they still pretty much have almost nothing. But
but they have peanuts, though.
Yeah, but is that
for
really
me?
worth
That's
that much?
Big.
Really?
Yeah, to me it is.
It's funny because if you said fan. That, you could say that sentence in another context, they have peanuts meaning nothing.
Oh, no. Yeah, they do. That's funny.
Owning the license to that is pretty good. All right, let's talk about restaurants.
Yeah. You want to talk about restaurants?
I don't, but I want to get to number 5, so I just want you to talk about restaurants.
When I put number 5 on the list, I was like, I wonder if Damon's going to be into this one. I don't know why.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
I have a whole discussion about this.
Yeah. Okay. So just really quickly here, Flying Fish, which is a lot of people really like Flying Fish. I have not been though. I don't know if either one of you guys have been, but I've not been. But I've heard it's very.
I don't eat seafood.
Yeah. Well, I think they have stuff besides seafood at Flying Fish.
I don't go to places that have seafood in the name.
If the name's Flying Fish, it's probably it's second.
Best stuff is
right?
fish.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at pictures too, right? And it's all seafood, right? So
yeah.
But then also Turf Club is coming back at Saratoga Springs, which I've heard good things of Turf Club too, but again, have not been there. And then Jiko, which I have been to, is coming back as well. So a couple of the last holdouts are coming back over the next couple weeks here. So Turf Club is February 3rd. It looks like January 27th for Flying Fish, and then February 17th for Jiko. So what is that one thing from Jiko? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Cape May Cafe as well?
Oh, they're going to start serving breakfast again. I think they were open but not serving breakfast.
Oh,
right?
I see. Oh, okay, got it. So, okay, they were just limited. Okay.
Yeah. So next door, wait. And then Ale and Compass is back. And blueberry bacon pancakes. That sounds delicious. I want to know what this weird thing is that they have over at Jiko. This thing that kind of looks like an apple. You see what I'm talking about? It's split up. Yeah, what is that? Okay. It's a chocolate mousse, pink peppercorn meringue. Oh, that all sounds good. So listen, again, good things. Things are starting to come back. We actually didn't talk about the Figment thing. We didn't talk about the Figment popcorn buckets. I didn't put this on the list either. Do we want to talk about that? I just realized it.
I mean,
I 100% want to talk about it.
Let's talk about it now then. Yeah, let's do it.
I guess, right, so the gist of it, there's a few things going on here, right? We have the fact that these popcorn buckets, people are waiting in line for these Figment popcorn buckets, right? There's that. They're limited editions. Then we have the prices going through the roof and what people are doing with them. There's so much to unpack here. Look, my whole thing is if you want to wait for it and it's a limited edition, go ahead and wait for it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I feel about that. I think Disney should do a better job at, if I get this whole capitalism thing. I get it, right? But I don't know. I just feel like there should be.
They got to stop the resellers. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Well, you know what it is really is that look, we saw pictures of people having tons of them, right? Maybe that was 10 people in a line. Maybe that was that. I almost feel like it should be limited by party somehow, if possible. I don't know.
like
something.
If they can catch wind of like, if there's 10 people and they're all together and you can, kind of figure out like if all of those people are buying 2 each, it's not just for themselves, right? Like if there's, because you can tell that they're skirting the 2 per customer.
And you know what it should be? I mean, look, I get people have more than 1 kid, but it should just be 1. Forget about 2. It's just, you get 1. Look, because I have 3 kids. So what does 2 really do for me? I can't give 1 to each kid anyway. It should just be 1. I think if it was 1, it would change a lot of things. Just, you get 1. That's it. That's all you get.
I did read that when they catch people doing this that are pass holders, that they have been revoking pass holders and trespassing.
Yeah,
people.
but it's so difficult to actually figure it out.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like especially when there's like a 5-hour wait or for a bucket
today,
right? Like they don't want to sit
today,
there and
which is Sunday that we're recording it. It seems like because of the weather, there's not a lot of people there. Look, I think it's really cool. I do. I looked at it. I thought it was cool. I think but I don't know what I'm doing with it. That's the first thing. I mean, I guess you could kind of, put it in a room and this, but then if that's the case, then you only need 1.
Yeah.
Would you buy that design if it was like a statue or something? You know what I mean? Like if it was something more displayable, I guess.
Yes. A popcorn bucket for me is just, it's tough. It's like cups, right? Yeah. It's like almost like mugs too. Like we have this mug that we got on the cruise that my wife loves, right? Which they don't sell anymore. Not that it was limited edition, but it was still probably just a yearly cycle mug, right? And if it breaks, it's over and done with. Yes, I would rather have stuff that I can just put somewhere and just go, okay, right? Like I can see it. I don't have to use it. But popcorn buckets are too cheap for that, I feel like. They're just, I don't know. I would never personally want to display, even though that one looks awesome, displaying a popcorn bucket, not my jam. And there's just so many of them. Which ones would you display anyway? And they're so big that you can't, like, if they were the size of a thimble and you had like limited edition stuff, like, okay, you can put it like in a shadow box. But if you have 10 popcorn buckets that you love, like, unless you have soffits in your kitchen, like that's kind of tough to display them.
Yeah, like we have a shelf that we put ours on, but it's the same. You're right. It's the same thing. We haven't hit that point yet where there's too many of them because we're not being obsessive like every single one. It's picking and choosing the ones that we like. But yeah, you're right. There is definitely that problem when you hit that point of, well, what do I do with this? And it's not something that's easily convertible into another form of displaying it, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I will say though, I think that's the coolest popcorn bucket that I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think they just did it really good. Like it looks awesome.
They knocked it out of the park with the design, honestly.
Absolutely.
Like if they could use that design for other things, I feel like it'd still sell a lot of them, right? So what were you going to say, Trevor? Sorry.
I was going to say, the way we've always approached popcorn buckets is, if we happen to be there and get one, great. But this one, I'm actually going out of my way to see if I can get one outside of, or because of the fact that I'm not going to be there in February anyway. Like I still want to get one of these.
Well, we're putting out the Figment signal then instead of the bat signal then, and I'm sure there's going to be a listener there sometime in the next couple of weeks could hook you up.
Yeah, actually, I did throw that out. I did throw that out in the group already. So
it's tough though, man. It's like give one to Trevor or get $800.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Well, I think our buddy Charles had actually posted in the group before he went asking if I wanted one, but I didn't see it until after he already went. And I couldn't stop laughing, by the way, at his picture of Figment in a seatbelt in his backseat on the way home.
That one was better than the one in the park, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was so cute. I love that.
But yeah, like if anybody's there and wants to, grab one for Trevor, I would love one too. But again, like they're going for crazy amounts on eBay.
Yeah, I would take one too at retail. Like so, I would, retail only. That was the way I looked.
Yeah, and so I am. Like I said, because I put it out, I'm already having a couple side conversations. So don't everybody go running off trying to find one for me. I'm sorting that out already. Yeah,
ask us first before you do it in case we get multiple offers.
Yeah, I would feel bad if you went and like I don't want anybody to stand in line for a ridiculous amount of time to get one of these things. If you did, I would feel bad. Yeah, and that's not what I want. Like I don't want it that bad.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. Like, I love Figment and I love this popcorn bucket, but I don't $270 love it, right? Like, you know, that's what one of the
$270 is cheap
compared to some of the ones I've found. Yeah, one was up to $1,000 I saw yesterday. Like,
it's crazy.
After conversion to Canadian, it might be $270 for me to get one shipped up here, but we'll see.
I mean, it's a $25. It's funny because I was looking at it and I was like, oh, what is Disney actually selling this for? And I was like, oh, $25. That actually feels really reasonable. But even by Disney standards, right?
That's a pretty standard popcorn bucket, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the popcorn they were selling with it looked good too. And although I saw that they ran out of the popcorn and they're now giving Figment sporks. Did you see the Figment sporks, Damon?
No. Where are these, plastic or metal?
I think they're plastic, but yeah, I somebody put it on the Facebook page and then I saw that they're handing them out now. But yeah, they've got Figment themed sporks. Oh, those are only going for $25 on eBay. So
I take a spork if someone got one. Let me know.
Yeah,
does it feel like they're setting up for something with Figment? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like Figment's always a kind of the official mascot of the arts, right? The arts festival.
Yeah. I mean, he's all over the signage for Festival of the Arts. So yeah, I feel like this happens every time this year that they push Figment. But yeah, I do wish that we would be getting something bigger too.
You mean like them bringing back the original version of the ride?
Or a show?
Yeah, I don't really care about that as much as I would care about a show, to be honest with you.
So. You want like an animated show?
We can't talk about it because it's
that's a waitlist episode.
Yeah,
let's talk about gingerbread houses though.
Yeah, let's come back to that later.
All right, gingerbread houses. So there was an interesting article on the Disney Parks page about how they recycle the gingerbread houses. Right, Tom has the link here. Wow, this is another long one by Tom. So let's look at it. So it's pretty much Disney being Disney in terms of what they do with their environmental stuff. So what they actually do with these gingerbread displays is they take them out to a spot at Disney and they let the bees get to them, right? So let's see, they bring them to the Disney Tree Farm. Oh, I don't even know where that is. Where's the tree farm?
It's, I mean, somewhere on the giant piece of property that is Disney World. They have a huge tree farm where they grow like all the trees that are on property and like, you know, all sorts of different things. Yeah.
So they let the bees collect the sugar. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm so happy that they went out of their way to kind of put this out there in terms of, you know, telling us what they do with them. I don't know. I think this is like that classic Disney feel-good story, which I like. It makes me like Disney.
The funny thing is they've been doing it for 10 years and I don't think they've never said anything about it, right? And like, so they take the actual gingerbread pieces and they compost those. So like the actual gingerbread is composted and then they bring the wood structure out to the tree farm. And then the wood structure is covered in the royal icing. And so that's what the bees eat. So they let the bees eat that like all winter, basically, because bees apparently it's harder for them to get food during the winter, even in Florida. And so they fill them up with the sugar. And then, you know, it helps the bee population. Of course, it helps the tree farm, too. Right. It helps anything that needs to be pollinated, I guess. Right. So and then they reuse the wooden pieces, they power wash them and they put them in storage till next year, I've always wondered what they do with all that, but I love the fact that they recycle the entire thing. They compost it and then they give it to the wildlife. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I think that's great.
And you know, the thing is yeah, it's great that they've been doing it. And you know, something like the gingerbread house in the Grand Floridian, it's stupid that people automatically go here, but you know, they look and they go, wow, that thing's huge. Oh, you know, that's such a waste. You know, they're going to, you know, they spent all that time and all those resources on making this gingerbread house. And it's not like everyone assumes it's like, well, you should give that away to people. Like, you should, people should get to eat the gingerbread house, but this is actually far better because
I think there's too much glue and stuff in that gingerbread house. I can't imagine that it's all natural, is it?
I don't know.
I know a lot of it is done with the royal icing because I mean, traditionally that's how you do a gingerbread house, but yeah, it's funny because, people automatically assume that, it's wasteful if they don't see somebody getting fed with it. But the truth of the matter is the bee population benefits from it. And like you said, it's this whole cyclical thing where they actually don't have to go out either, like, because, the byproducts of that is honey and, growing trees and not having to, them not having to go outside of where they are to sustain this, right? Like it's like you said, it's very much that Disney story of, they are trying to become a company that is as close to self-sustaining as possible. Yeah. And, people don't realize that requires being a little more creative than just, I recycle all the forks at the end of the day. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think, go ahead. Sorry, Dave. What were you going
to say? No, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's, they do a lot of this stuff that they don't even actually talk about, right? So like all the wastewater that comes from Disney World, which is a lot of wastewater, right? Like they recycle all that and use it to water all the plants and all of the landscaping, right? And they also take all the cooking oil. They have a processing facility on property too, where they take all the cooking oil and they make it into fuel for the buses. So like, there's a lot of stuff that they do that people don't even realize. Like, and it's just something they do to be, I guess, a environmentally friendly company and try to do things as good as they can. I mean, if you look at like at Disney Cruise Line, I think is like one of the only cruise lines that actually has like a really good environmental rating. Like they are even careful with the cruise line too. So, seeing this kind of stuff, it makes me happy. I think it's cool. And I just find it fascinating. Like I saw this video and I was fascinated by it,
I was as well. Cause one of the things that, we wanted to do was keep bees, but my daughter is just so scared of bees that I kind of had to table that. So, I learned a lot about bees. I went to a bunch of classes, in our town because we have a lot of beekeepers in our town, and I was all ready to start it up. And then my daughter's like, yeah, no, like she just couldn't do it. So yeah, so I know a lot about bees. I'm always excited by stuff with bees, but we just couldn't do it, unfortunately.
We have bee farms near, so I live on the edge of the city. And so there's a couple of bee farms just outside the city, and we love it because, we get them in our yard and, they come and pollinate off of some of the trees, or they pollinate the trees that we have and everything. But I think the thing is that, I love bees, but then you also get wasps coming, or at least around here, you get wasps, and wasps are jerks. And the biggest problem is that you don't know, what, like you don't always immediately realize like, oh, that's a bee or that's a wasp, right? Like I think that's the bigger problem is, if I realize it's a bee, I'm like, okay, cool. He's just going about his business, whatever. But then when it's a wasp, I go into like, okay, you're in my space and I'm going to deal with you very quickly.
I get that. I'm not a huge fan of bees. Like I don't mind pretty much any insect. Bees I don't love. So I don't want to go anywhere near where this is happening, but I like looking at it from afar. And also I can't get the image out of my head now of Damon in a beekeeper outfit. That's just David, would you go full beekeeper outfit, or would it be like
absolutely. Again, like I went to a bunch of class, like I was like real close, but then my daughter was just like, I could tell that it wasn't going to be a good thing if we had bees in our yard. Like I could just tell it was going to be a problem. So I decided to not press that point.
For no reason.
Exactly. That's kind of what it was. So what we're going to do is we are going to start doing succulents, like, those high end succulents and things like that. So I didn't realize that there's such, succulents are interesting because I kind of thought that they were like this, everyone has the same succulents and they just are what they are. But there's like some rare ones and some high end ones. And it seems like it's kind of an interesting hobby to do something along those lines. You get a succulent, try to, grow your own from the leaves of the. So that's what we're going to do instead of bees.
Is that the new hobby you were teasing on the Facebook page?
Yeah. So I think that's going to be the new hobby that we end up doing. I'm actually trying to find a table right now to put them on because I realized that I didn't have a great spot in the house for them currently. So we're going to do that and then start with some of the easier, cheaper ones, obviously, right, to get started. No one wants to buy a $150 succulent and have it die in 4 days. So we're going to start easy and kind of see how it goes.
I did succulents were generally pretty resilient,
forgiving. I think
so.
Right?
Yep, a lot of them can be, and then there's some other ones that are a little bit more difficult. And again, part of the succulent thing is being able to kind of branch off and get new plants out of cuttings. So there's all sorts of stuff. I also would really like to do a larger jade tree. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I'm kind of excited to do something that's a little bit different.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Maybe you'll have to try and come in May because Flower and Garden will be going on. You can get some ideas from Disney.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I don't want to say it's a new hobby I started, but one of the things I got for Christmas was, and maybe you guys know what I'm talking about when I explain this, but it's it's like a wooden like machine that you build.
I got one for my daughter. She got the
like a marble machine. Or something?
She got the music box.
Okay, yeah. So I got one is called Marble Parkour.
That's like, I got her. That's fine.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, you got that one too, Trevor?
Yeah. I actually got it last year for Christmas, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I've been meaning to sit down and put it together.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. Because it's like different than it's different than Legos, obviously, because it's like flat, wooden pieces, and it brings its different challenges because you're connecting everything just by like basically snapping boards together, and there's a couple metal pieces here and there, but for the most part it's wood on wood, and it's like so for those that haven't seen this, if you Google Marble Parkour, it's like I kind of bring it back to Connects when I was a kid, and it was a big ball factory. It was like like takes these little marbles through these different sections, and there's like little runs for the marble to go down, and then there's a big wheel that brings it back up, and you just turn it. It's like a hand crank. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's a marble machine.
Yeah.
So,
and they have a bunch of different kinds. Yeah.
So the reason I didn't get that one is that it was annoying to me that you had to crank it. I have, I love those, like the, whatever they're called, like with the hills, and then they go down. I got one for myself for Christmas, not this year, but last year, because I could just sit there and watch them forever. Like I had the penguin one, I think, growing up, but I have a car one now. But I love that thing. But I just was like, I don't want to crank that. Like I just want it to work by itself. I want to put batteries in it.
Well, the next step of that is you can do some like Connects or Lego modification stuff, but you can actually attach something to the hand crank so that it is motorized.
I think this wood company does ones that are motorized too, though. Like certain ones of their models are motorized, or you can buy a motor to put on it. But but I would think a motor over time would probably ruin it, because I mean a lot of the stuff that's turning is like wood on wood, right? Like you have to put like wax around it so like it doesn't wear down. But of course the wax is going to wear down eventually, and then you're just going to start scraping wood.
Yeah, they're not that expensive. That like I said, we did that. We got the music box one for my daughter.
Yeah, those are cool. It was something new I wanted to try, and I suggested it to my wife as a thing to get me, because I kept seeing ads for them, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of fun. So
Facebook marketing at its best.
It does work sometimes. It does. It works really well sometimes. So,
and if you want to go, or I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a YouTube channel called Jelly's Marble Runs. I've seen some of those. Yeah, that's the more.
Is that the one that you on the beach?
So yeah, he does the marble racing, but then he'll also do like he'll do those marble machines, but it'll have like 20,000 marbles in it or something like that. Like it's like crazy the scale of what he does.
That just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, well,
you watch
there's like an entire room dedicated to just a marble run.
I've watched some of those videos, and I'm like, if I ever tried to do this, my wife would kill me. Like, because it's like takes up their whole house. It's going through every room of the house, and it's just it just seems like a big inconvenience to get that video. But I mean, they are cool. They're fun to watch. But kind of like what you're saying, Damon, I almost wanted something that I could like put on my desk, that if like I needed like a couple minutes of like break from work, I could just do a stupid thing like that and be mesmerized by it for a few minutes, and then just go back to focusing, almost like a fidget toy, but not really, you know what I mean?
All right, so going on with little collectible things, I guess
I put this on here just for you, Trevor. I put it on here just for you because I know you liked your pressed pennies.
So Walt Disney World, they have the 50th anniversary celebration pressed pennies, which I'm actually surprised, because they've been pushing those medallions for a little bit.
Well, they have those
the pressed
too, though.
Pennies were kind of done.
Yeah. They have those too, though. Like if you click on the link, they're doing medallions and the pennies.
Right.
So they're doing both. Yeah.
Yeah, but I get the feeling that that as time goes on, you're going to see maybe less and less pressed pennies, which makes me kind of sad. But at the same time, I'm not. Or we have a fairly large collection of pressed pennies already, so it's not that we're missing out on anything. The only problem I have with this is that they're not doing the old school machines as much.
I was going to ask you about that because is there a certain thing to the press penny of doing the crank and like, you know, making it do it, because these new machines, and that's what's part of what they're advertising here. So first of all, they have the Fab 50 character collection, and then of these, you know, press pennies. But the new machines they have are digital, and you don't have to bring any coins with you. And they actually say that the penny is an uncirculated penny that is, you know, just like a brand new penny that they have built in there. Yeah,
it's most likely just like a copper disc. Even they may not be using pennies actual necessarily.
Pennies. Yeah. Why would they need to? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, I get that like you get a more pristine thing, but I guess for us, like it started as a, you had some change and you saw it getting made, right? Like you saw like they have the little machine in there. It wasn't even so much like the hand crank ones are great, but they're annoying after you do like your second or third one because they take way too long. But the ones that, at least, you know, where you can watch like, you know, the penny drops into the machine and you can watch it go through the press and then you get it, you know, you get it right away and you know that it was your penny. Like it, I don't know. It feels weirdly a little more personal. And whereas
you did it.
Yeah. Whereas this, like, again, you know, because they're just like, you know, firing these things out of, you know, like you said, a digital machine where it's like they've got a bunch of preloaded discs. Like I said, I would even assume that they're using actual pennies at this point because they could probably, you know, source unminted metal cheaper than you know, buying actual pennies from the mint, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
And then there's the whole thing about, you know, after certain years, you know, some pennies, they have more nickel in them than copper. So like you get the metal stretches in different ways and you'll get like streaks of silver through it and stuff like that. It's like, I get that it's, you know, it makes for a nicer collectible, but it's not as personal, I guess, is my objection to it.
well, they did note on here that, you know, they actually did put a thing in here that says if you still, where is it? If you still like the old way to do it, then they're keeping some of the old machines. So,
right.
Where did it say that? Oh my gosh.
But I feel over time they're going to. I feel like that's going to disappear because change is not a thing anymore either. Like we don't really use cash for anything anymore, especially in the parks. So like, when am I going to have coins to do this anyway? Like, again, I get it. I get why it's going this way. It makes me a little sad. And then, yeah, you know, them flipping over to the medallions, it's the same kind of thing. Like it feels like, you know, they're selling this collectible, but it doesn't have any personality behind it, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, so I found the line. So if you still love the hand crank experience or love using your own pennies, don't worry. Select locations still have original machines for your penny pressing experience. So
yeah.
Which, so I mean, again, we still have.
But then it's not like finding them all over the park. It's you have to go to like some back corner and like Pecos Bills or something like that.
Well, I didn't actually know this, and I don't know if this is a new thing, but they actually mentioned in here that you can find the coin press machines in the My Disney Experience app, which I did not realize that was possible. I didn't know that they were listed.
I mean, it makes sense because that's pretty much replaced the old paper maps,
the old park maps. Yeah.
And because they used to sell, or you could get press penny maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you not interested in using the new machines? Or it's still a collectible for you that you want?
Well, so it's not even so much for me. It's my wife at this point that collects them. Yeah. And, you know, the last time we were there, you know, she saw some of the digital machines and she was like, no, because I mean, one, she did actually, she went out of her way to hold on to some change to go and do her own press pennies. And so she was more interested in finding the old machines, and that was fine. But, you know, we did talk about it and we realized that, eventually, you know, it's going to be that those machines don't exist anymore. And I don't know if she's going to continue collecting it or if she's going to find something else, because, I think like everybody, we do have our things that like everyone has something that they go after when they're down there, whether it's mugs or, popcorn buckets or pennies or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we may be looking for something new to go after on our next trip, but we'll have to wait and see what strikes our fancy when we're down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. It's funny you say that, because we collected pins for a little while. We were trying to get pins at the parks and doing pin trading and all that. And then we lost our pins. We couldn't find them. They just disappeared one day. Probably after a trip we unpacked and we just put them, in a place and we just didn't know where they were. But over the time I took off during the holidays, I was, decided to do some, spring cleaning, so to speak, and was cleaning up my bedroom closet. And lo and behold, they were behind something, but we found all of our pins again. So now it's like, oh, okay, we can do pin trading again. We'll get back into it because we just lost them, and we just hadn't even thought about it. But yeah, now we'll get back into it again. We've got some cool pins too. I'm not buy them online though kind of person. I know a lot of people will buy some of them online, but I mean, online is also filled with counterfeits. So yeah, you got to be careful and you got to know what to look for. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually done a press penny. I mean, maybe when I was a kid, but I haven't done one recently. But yeah, I do think they're cool though. I do think they're cool. I just don't know what I would do with them.
Yeah, for us, it was actually the whole thing started because it was actually our very first trip to Disneyland together, because my wife had never been to Disneyland until we were finishing up high school, and she actually came with my family because she had never been prior with her family, and she didn't know what it was all about. We were trying to explain Disney to her and she didn't really get it because, I mean, like most people that have never been to Disney. But then when we got there, she was in love with it. We got halfway down Main Street and she was into it at that point. But then it was she saw her first press penny machine and she popped a couple of quarters and did it. And it turned into she was there's more of these, I have to collect these. And it became, a thing. Every trip we would go and she would fill books of these. She just loved finding all the different pennies and collecting them. And it became like a game for her, I guess, is the thing. Because it's, and I think that's where the problem comes in with the digital ones is that, they're not, those machines are not as hidden necessarily. You don't have it's just a big, big square box. And it's hey, put in your credit card, get a penny kind of thing. Whereas, I think a lot of the draw of the old ones where they were spread everywhere around the park is they were small enough that, you could miss them. You could come out of,
you have to go find them.
Yeah. You could come out of a ride and walk through the gift shop, and you could walk right by it and not even notice. So it became for her, I guess, kind of a scavenger hunt thing. And yeah, that's going away now. But it's the same thing, hunting for pins and stuff. Is it I think that's where the draw of some of these collectibles come in is not just walking to the gift shop and, they've got, 500 mugs or they've got this thing, right? It's like that. You have to go to different places in the park to find it. And it's not necessarily that you have to get them all, but there's just that little bit of satisfaction having that scavenger hunt.
Yeah. And I, this is going back to the popcorn bucket thing, to the Figment popcorn bucket thing. I do think it's a little weird that Disney has decided to, and they've done this with a couple things with the 50th anniversary, where they're just selling these items that they know are going to be super hot at one place. You know what I mean? Why put it at one central place that's going to get an 8-hour line when you could put them all over the park and, sell them in different places? I don't know. It's confusing to me. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. Maybe it's just easier for them operationally or something. I don't know. But I am a little surprised actually that the Figment popcorn buckets haven't sold out already. I kind of thought they'd be gone. But that was something I meant to mention before. But I don't know. There's these interesting things that you can hunt around for in the parks. But it's it's just changing a little bit. But from what I've seen, these press penny machines are not going to have like all the designs in each machine. So you still have to, like, if there's a certain design you want, I think you need to still like kind of hunt for it, right? Because it's not it's each machine doesn't have like every single design. It's got like 10 designs in it, So
I think, like I said, the biggest thing is I think Disney needs to work a little on blending those things in with their surroundings a little better. Because, like I said, at least when we were there, I don't know what the new machines look like, but yeah, the ones that we saw, it was these big white ugly boxes, and yeah, that's not fun. But especially when like all the press penny machines, they were all well themed. It's kind of the same thing, honestly, as the trash cans, where you can find a different trash can every area, and they're themed properly. But yeah, they need to do a little bit of work on the new press pennies before I'm sold. And same thing with the medallions.
Yeah, the medallions don't really do anything for me. I mean, I see the appeal of the press pennies, like, because it's like an older, like, kind of thing that's been around for a long time, and there's just a certain cool look to it, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. The medallions are okay, whatever. I'm not that into medallions. So, all right. Anything else about pennies?
No? Nope.
Okay.
When we talk, speaking of Flower and Garden Festival.
Man, another good transition from you. You're so good at this.
I know. So the Garden Rocks concert series has been announced for Flower and Garden Festival starting in March. They actually have the list of all the different bands that are going to be playing there, which I guess, how many of these? I know a few of these, but I don't. So, how many do you know?
Okay. I mean, I be obviously Cool in the Gang, and no Cool in the Gang. Rick Springfield, okay. There's Pointer Sisters, I know them. Starship, yeah, right. We got Starship in there. Commodores, really? Mm-hmm. Okay. A flock of seagulls, really? Yeah. They're still around.
Obviously, Plain White Tees as well.
I'm a little shocked by this. I have a question though. Like, as a band, do you feel like you've hit a kind of low if your gig is at if you're
playing at Disney World?
I mean, if I were a band, I'd be super pumped to do it, right? But like, if you at one point in your career were playing like arenas and now you're playing at EPCOT, does it feel like you've, especially like Plain White Tees were big for like a hot second, right? Like, they were a legit band, and now they're playing EPCOT for 3 days. I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, do you feel like you've maybe you're not as popular as you used to be?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying is, it's different than having a packed stadium where it's, people in a theme park wandering by is,
exactly.
Probably not as great. But I mean, I don't know. Every time I've ever seen these bands on stage, I guess, to be fair, there's a lot of people that, and actually I actually have a cousin who has a band, and he's played for 20 years, and he's done big festivals, but then he's also done small venues like little pubs and stuff like that. And because of the fact that he just wants to play, and he just wants to do his music and everything. So, I guess I wouldn't look at it that way necessarily, as, that this is not a, people doing these shows. Yeah. It shouldn't be looked at that way. The fact that they're trying to celebrate music, and there's, they've got a bunch of bands that, people know, and will come to see, like, obviously we know some of these, and you would probably stop to watch them if you happen to be at the parks on these days.
For sure. Yeah. I'm just, I'm looking at some of these are kind of funny because they're like, like Tommy DiCarlo, singer of the band Boston. We don't get Boston, but we get the singer of Boston, right?
You get the front man, yeah.
Yeah, or this guy that was on tour with Billy Joel, or, you know, just because of his proximity to Billy Joel, or the orchestra starring former members of ELO. Like, so they're throwing in some, you know, some ones that, you know, I feel like Simple Plan was a thing for a while. I seem to remember that. Yeah, so I mean,
Simple Plan on here? Did I miss that?
Yeah, Simple Plan. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're June. Yeah, right at the end there. Yeah, they're Canadian. I didn't know that. I just Googled them.
I was like, wait, Simple Plan, really?
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like they've got some legitimate bands on here. So, although it's funny because if you look at this article, the first comment is, "What will this cost?" Assuming based on other changes that it will no longer be included in park commission. Like, come on, people. Like, just why is everybody just getting like all negative about this stuff? It's in that theater. You couldn't even charge for it if you wanted to. You could charge for it by doing the dining package, but you could just stand in the vicinity of the stage and hear it. You know,
you can hear it from like 2 pavilions over.
Like, yeah, like there's no way to make it charge only. You know,
yeah.
So, just man, like people are too negative these days. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting list. I you know. There's nobody I would really like go out of my way to see. I mean,
like I said, but some of these, it's like if I happen to be there, and actually, let's see of course, I just looked at when we're going to be there for the meetup. You know, May 13th to 14th.
Yeah,
Ambrosia with Peter Beckett. I have no idea who that is.
I have no idea who that is either.
But then, we're missing Flock of Seagulls by a week. That's
I would go see Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah, right. Like that's the thing. I would have gone to see Flock of Seagulls.
How do I not know who Ambrosia is? Who's Ambrosia? This is. I feel like I'm. Maybe this is I'm too young.
You've probably heard one of their songs before, but you didn't know who they were.
1970 to 82 were the years that this band was active. So, but they had 5 top 40 singles. So, I mean, you know what? I think I do maybe know of this band. You know, there's like some of these songs that you just know, but you don't know who sang them. You know what I mean? Like you're just a song that you know, but you don't really know who actually sings them. And then I'm sure it's one of those. So I'm sure there's some listeners that are yelling at us right now through their radios or phones or wherever they're listening to us, like about, you know, some big Ambrosia fans are.
Yeah, I'm looking for a video right now just to get a feel for what kind of music they do.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that they're bringing this back, and you know, because this is like, I keep seeing all the people talking about like, oh, all these cuts and all these things, like they don't have the entertainment like they used to anymore. And it's like, but they do though. Like they're doing this kind of stuff still. And I mean, this is a nice thing to have back again, is all of the Garden Rocks concert series. So,
yeah. Okay. So just by the way, Ambrosia, so Baby Come Back, I guess, is a song that they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or that's. I just found a video of them singing it. So
were they doing it as a cover? Wait, is that?
I looked up Ambrosia and Peter Beckett, and that was the first thing that came up. So
all right,
I think they originally did the song. I'll have to look into it further, but
yeah, I don't know. Okay, interesting. I feel bad if somebody's yelling at us right now, like you idiots, you know them. But yeah, I don't. So anyway, so other parts of festival, the International Flower and Garden Festival, they have announced the full lineup of the markets.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a full lineup here, and you know, I don't know, do they have new ones this year? I don't see any ones that say new. No, they look like they're all pretty much the same. So you got the farmers market in Germany, which I'm always for. Farmers market in Germany. Cider house, I like cider. You know, I'll always go and get some cider.
I recall the Citrus Blossom had some interesting stuff in previous years.
Yeah, I feel like they had too. Yeah. Farmer's Feast, so hearty dishes and savory sides from farm fresh ingredients. So that sounds interesting. We'll go through the full menu when it comes out. Obviously, we just started the Festival of the Arts, although the Festival of the Arts is very short lived. So which, by the way, I know we can go through more of these, but sometimes I've been seeing people posting like the chalk art that they do for the Festival of the Arts, and I don't understand how anyone does chalk art that's cool. That is that cool. Have you seen some of those?
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's amazing.
I was there once for Festival of the Arts, and yeah, I can't fathom chalk as a medium being, that. I always think of like, chalk on a blackboard, right?
Yeah, so, no, I mean, like, yeah. I've done sidewalk chalk with my daughter before, and I have a hard enough time like writing my name in sidewalk chalk and making it look presentable. And these people are doing like, full on pieces of art that are just going to be, washed away. So it's amazing. But so other
reenact that scene from Mary Poppins when it rains and Bert's doing kicking all the sidewalk chalk around.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So other ones, we've got EPCOT Sunshine Griddle that's near Test Track. So that's breakfast stuff, it looks like. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I got to circle back to a previous comment. We've got the Honey Bistro from the National.
Oh, I like Honey Bistro. Yeah.
I have to wonder, based on what we know now about how they recycle the gingerbread house, how much of that honey is generated that goes back into providing for a booth like this.
Yeah, I don't know if Disney makes their own honey. I just assumed
I can't imagine that they wouldn't. Yeah. Like if they have beehives that they're providing to, I would expect that they would be getting honey out of them.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But maybe they use the honey like not for guests, but for like, the animals at Animal Kingdom or something. I don't know. Yeah. But maybe they do. I don't know. It's because this was to your point, when I went on the behind the scenes tour years ago, the guide that was taking us on the behind the scenes tour told us that while yes, some of the food that is grown on the, behind the scenes tour is stuff that you eat around EPCOT, most of it's actually grown in like the farms that they have around on property. Like, so you are eating some of it, but it's mostly for show when you're going through there. So, not to ruin the illusion for everybody,
I could, sorry, the land is not that big. I couldn't imagine that it has any substantial impact on the amount of food that Disney puts out. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but anyway, so Sunshine Griddle. So I like the idea of breakfast food all day, although I'm not an avocado fan and I'm not a shrimp and grit fan. So unless they have something besides the two things they listed, which hopefully they do, then I'm whatever about this. And actually, when we go for the meetup, I think the one park I actually really want to go to is probably EPCOT. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
because I was going to propose Magic Kingdom so we could ride Space Mountain.
We can do that too. I mean, okay. I have the pass.
Maybe we can.
Pass, so.
Maybe we can park hop. So
we'll make it happen. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So I had said I think I said it on the Discord or maybe on the group that if anybody wants, I'm going to come in either Thursday or Friday. And, the meetup's not till Saturday. And truthfully, I don't have any plans between the time I get there and between the meetup. So, I was saying maybe we do a mini pre-meetup and we go ride Space Mountain together, or we, go to the Flower and Garden Festival. Either way, whatever, Yeah.
Well, there'll be
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have the Saturday and the Sunday. And, that's plenty of time for us to
do some stuff.
do a couple of things.
Yeah. We'll figure it out as we get closer.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say no to an EPCOT festival, especially food being involved. So, let's see, flavorful kitchen. I don't remember that one from last year, but that one looks good. There's a French pavilion,
the fleur de lis.
Yeah. You said that in the right way, and I wasn't going to try it and screw it up.
Fleur de lis.
I know fleur de lis. Yeah. Okay, so Journey to Japan. So this one's Hanami, right?
Yeah.
So there's a Japan one, the Honey Bistro, as you mentioned, which is food and beverages with honey in them. I think I ate there last time I went to Flower and Garden. And of course, there's a Mexico pavilion, and has the fun Mexican foods. We got a Caribbean kind of one, La Isla Fresca, Caribbean seasoned desserts. That's good.
I really like Caribbean food, so that would be a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Lotus House, which has been there before, sink your teeth into authentic Chinese eats. So that sounds good. We'll have to see what they have. I'm excited for full menus, of course. Let's see what we got here. Magnolia Terrace. So this one's an American Adventure. And then, of course, we have Northern Bloom in Canada, and it says, discover palate-pleasing fare from our great white north neighbor, O Canada. How do you feel about that description?
I don't, yeah. What does that mean?
I don't
As
know.
a Canadian, what does that mean?
That's why I wanted to ask you, because I don't know what that means. Great white north neighbor? What does that mean?
I mean, that can mean a lot of things. It's, I think the thing people don't realize is, Canada is as much, it's a melting pot of different cultures. So the Canadian food is not inherently a thing, but there's a lot of things that are
like regional, right? Like,
yeah, like they're depending on where you go, like East Coast versus West Coast, you get very different food.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they're going to be representing.
I guess we have to wait and find out, right?
Yeah.
So, Pineapple Promenade. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of Dole Whip going on there. Tropical fruit fix from tart and tangy to the sweetest frozen treats. Primavera Kitchen.
That totally just like you could have just put Dole Whip in brackets.
Yeah,
there.
Dole Whip Station. Yeah, Dole Whip Station. Yeah. Maybe some variations on Dole Whip. Yeah. Then we got, of course, an Italian kitchen, which it's funny because there's one particular blog that every year talks about how bad the Italian food is at all the festivals. And, I've gone like to most of them and had some of the stuff there, and it's always been really good. I don't know. But, the last time I went there, I got some ravioli there, and I think I also got the fried risotto balls, and they were delicious. I mean, I don't know. I don't really think you can screw up Italian that badly, but
yeah.
But I enjoyed it, so I don't care if anybody else enjoys it. I enjoyed it. Tangerine Cafe. So we got it's Morocco, of course. Some cool Moroccan food, and then Trowel and Trellis has been there, and that's all plant-based stuff. So. And then, of course, random stuff at, Refreshment Outpost and Refreshment Port. So
yeah, and yeah, I noticed. Okay, there must be a location just called Funnel Cake because
I love that it's just called Funnel Cake.
Yeah, Funnel Cake. We ran out of names. Like
yeah, they could have come up with something fun for that. Like I'm sure there's something they could have said. But
even if the fun was in capital. Like FUN
cake.
Yeah. Right.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. I actually
Disney.
saw some
Send me some money for that idea.
There you go. Yeah. Give him some money. Although every time, if you try to submit ideas to Disney, they send you an email back saying, we don't take ideas, leave us alone.
And then it shows up in the park a week later.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's, we'll, like I said, we'll have full menus soon enough. But I was going to say, I've seen some pictures of people taking some pictures of that one funnel cake that we talked about in the last episode with, the full menus from the Arts Festival of, with the cherry ice cream on it or whatever it was. Remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah, and it just looks amazing. Like it looks exactly like the picture, which doesn't always happen, right? But it looks exactly like the picture, and it looks really good. All right. So that's all we got for this week. I think it was a little bit of a light news week. So to all the people saying we'd go for an hour and a half, take that. I told you it's going to be short.
Yeah. Sometimes it's okay that it is light, and I fully expect as we get back into it, there Disney's going to announce more there, and they did announce a bunch of stuff before the end of the year that's going to be coming back here in the next couple of months too, right? So we'll have chances to talk about shows and everything returning.
To your point, like I heard someone talking about like the stuff that they announced for the 50th was like not enough, right? And I'm like, well, you don't announce everything at once. If you're doing an 18-month festival, you announce like things come online over the months. Like you need to keep it a celebration throughout the year. You don't just do everything at once and have it be there for 18 months. Like that's just not how you do things. So, so I will have a lot more, I'm sure. So, but again, I mean, remember when we first started weekly, we were trying to keep it to an hour. So this is probably better anyway. So
yeah, it's, it's not bad that we get to cut it early and get a little bit of time back. Exactly.
Yeah. So
time to wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up, please.
All right. if you guys want to send us any emails, comments, share stories, stuff like that, make sure you guys reach out to us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Love hearing from you guys. Love talking to you guys over email. Additionally, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. Same thing. We have lots of chats going with our listeners, and you guys share your thoughts on the show, your opinions. You share your own experiences, which helps us get better because we only know what we know, and it's nice to have a different point of view on these things from time to time. So keep doing that. And then also, if you guys want to follow us on YouTube or Instagram, YouTube is Welcome Home Podcast and Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. When we do get back to the parks, as we were talking about our May trip, you'll be able to see things like live streams if you missed them while they were going on. We'll post pictures and stuff like that from the parks. So make sure you guys are subscribed there so you don't miss any of that. And if you decide you want to support the show, make sure you guys go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com. Always appreciative if you decide to pick up a t-shirt or a mug or something like that. Again, it all just goes back to helping us do things for the show. Like we've done giveaways in the past. It helps us, do some of the things like last year we did the haunted river country shirt. That actually, we weren't able to do that if it wasn't for the fact that people were helping us support the show because, these kinds of projects do cost money, and your support for the show can definitely help us do more fun things in the future. Same Absolutely. Thing if you would rather support us through Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod. Any amount is greatly appreciated. And if you do support us through Patreon, there is exclusive merchandise there too. So if you do see something there that you like, that's a good reason to support Patreon. And it'll also get you access to our Discord server, which is a little bit more of a direct conversation, a little more one-on-one, I think, than Facebook. So, if those things interest you, please, by all means, help us out. And last but not least, if you happen to be listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, leaving us a good rating helps. We like to see 5 stars. Tom particularly likes to see 5 stars. I do. I'll accept 4 or 3. I get not everyone wants to hand out 5 stars. Don't say that, Trevor. No, they want. No, you want 5 too. But I know some people are very reserved with their stars. I respect that. So give up stars. If you want to hold back that star, that's fine. But the more ratings we can get, it helps more people see the show. So if you'd like to help the show get to more people, please consider leaving us a review.
Yeah, and by the way, if anybody wants any information about the meetup that we're doing in May, if you go to our page or our group and look under events, the event is listed there. We can see some details. Now, we don't have a lot of details yet because we don't know where we're going to do it yet. We're going to base that based on how many people say that they're going to come, because we want to make sure that we have a big enough or small enough space, depending on how many people do come. We did have, since the last episode, and we talked about it, a couple more people had RSVP'd to it, so that's good. And we have a lot of people that are interested, I think, that are just not sure if they're going to come yet or not. So, go check that out. Go ahead, sorry, Trevor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we are going to have to deadline that, though, because if we want to make sure we get a reservation where we want, we haven't figured out a date yet, but just keep in mind if you are interested in going, we are going to be announcing a deadline that you have to confirm, because we don't want to go and make a reservation and then have a bunch of people not show up. So
maybe April 1st. April 1st, let's say.
That is that going to leave us enough time, because that's still within 60 days for reservations.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're gonna. Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. We'll
I think it might have to be sometime in March, like maybe middle of March, that we have to deadline it. So so keep an eye out for that. If you guys are interested in coming to the meetup, definitely confirm sooner than later, just so we can get a good idea of head count.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you get reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any place you can find podcasts. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that says Disney and DVC. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC cast member or just regular cast member for more information about anything we talked about today, although we didn't really talk DVC today, did we?
No.
That's okay. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.